Hello. As I'm talking to you now, I'm almost all the way through the second series of Stranger Things. Yes, I know I'm about 8 years late to the party, but at least I got an invite. Usually no one invites me to parties. Stranger Things is the best things I've seen in ages. If you haven't seen it, it's a horror/detective series set in a small American town in the 80s. It's like the X-Files crossed with E.T. and Alien, and as it's set in the 80s, the music is amazing. I'm not even that into horror films, despite having made 2 very short horror films a few years ago. If you want to watch Teddy Scare and Teddy Scare 2, click on the links below. Both films are cautionary tales that show the perils of not writing a script and thinking you can get away with it. Anyway, I recommend watching Stranger Things. It's truly scary, especially the shots of the election boards for Reagan and Bush. However, this video isn't really about Stranger Things. It's about the love of knowledge. Talking of which, I've loved the comments about politics and philosophy in response to my previous video. If I could, I'd spend the rest of my life at university learning from fascinating people who are much more intelligent than I could ever wish to be. However, pretending to be an intellectual doesn't pay the bills, so I have to work for a living.
You will respect my authority!
Opposite my office is a university campus, which from 1771 to 2002 was the city hospital. One of the main hospital wards has been converted into a medical museum, and there's a tiny exhibition which I visited during several lunch breaks. It's about Powick Hospital, which was founded in 1847 as the Worcester County Pauper and Lunatic Asylum. It was opened in 1852 and demolished in 1989. Asylums were first set up in the UK in the 13th century. The lunatic asylum movement of the 1800s led to a lunatic asylum being set up in every county to look after the local poor. According to the exhibition, patients at the asylum in Powick and at other asylums in Britain received in the late 1800s moral treatment. This was in contrast to the asylums of the 1700s, which subjected patients to brutal regimes and physical restraint. However, children were sent to Powick Asylum simply because they were deaf. As they couldn't communicate like most other people could, they were deemed to be mentally inadequate. Sound familiar? Well, not if you're deaf, I suppose. This is from the same local newspaper I've just quoted from. There was a preponderance of certified maniacs from urban areas. You could probably be a maniac in rural areas for quite some time before anyone noticed. I'm autistic, and I could happily live in a rural area without anyone noticing. You could call me a maniac, but I wouldn't care because I'd be too far away to hear you. William Ross Marston was classified as a maniac, but look at that description. Does not recognise his position as a patient, imagines he can do everything better than anyone else. Was he a maniac or a manager? The cause of this attack of melancholia is disappointment in love. Poor Henry Maiden was sent to the asylum for being madly in love. He wasn't a maniac, he was a bloody legend. Takes a fancy to old shoes and nails, takes things away and hides them. He'll laugh for hours in the middle of the night. So basically, Frank Morgan collected things, and this made him very happy. What's wrong with that? That doesn't sound like melancholia to me. He imagines he has some peculiar power to make people do as he wishes, and that he has been galvanised while he was in bed. I remember once being galvanised in bed. It was a long time ago. I'm in my 40s now. Fair play, Edward Winkle Jr., though the first part of that description makes you sound like an absolute manager. In 1958, a government-funded LSD treatment unit was set up at Powick Hospital, the first of its kind in the whole world. A psychiatrist called Ronald Sanderson used LSD on patients as part of a program he called psycholytic therapy. Decades later, some of the patients received thousands of pounds in compensation for their involvement in what Sanderson described as a vibrant therapeutic community. If what I've just said isn't a pitch for a new Netflix series, then I don't know what is. Autistic people are pathologised and ridiculed for monologuing about their special interests. But if you're not fascinated by everything I've just shared about the asylum/hospital, I can't help thinking that you're one of the stranger things. Thank you for listening, and take care.